here. You're on mute.
Good evening.
Hello, Sally.
How you doing?
Oh, good. I'm just going through admitting everybody.
So Carol and Anna, you can ignore my text messages.
I just answered.
Oh, you
Said-
did. I see that.
I'm in.
Hang
Hold
on.
on.
Okay. Thanks.
Tell me when
Hey,
you
guys.
want everybody in.
Hello.
Hey, Mike.
Happy Wednesday.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is throwing me all off. I should be Monday.
That many people waiting here?
We have Toby, Alori, Steve Wilson, Jeff, Marty, Ellis, Tim, and then a 518 number.
Could have something to do with the public hearing.
Oh,
Right.
Just changed it to 6N61SG.
Wasn't that it, Adam? Didn't we?
Yep.
Didn't we have him before? I think it might be Adam.
Yeah, that
Oh,
rings a
could be.
bell.
Is it Adam or Ella? Ellis?
No, I think it's
Ellis is
Adam.
on.
Ellis is on as Ellis.
Yeah. And I don't see Jerry.
Jerry will be a few minutes late. He was headed home to let the dog out. Might as well let him in.
All right.
The dog.
Sure. That sounds like a plan.
To make
I
sure
was-
everything's on silence.
I was thinking that I saw a sentence like that too. And it was actually on one of Linda's pictures. I'll have to ask her about it. It said that, what's the photographer's name? The guy that he took the photo in, or he built the house anyway. Never mind. Stupid.
So everybody's in, Mike. Nobody's waiting.
Okay, I'm just trying to get my everything expanded here. I see Marty from the nose up. I see your light pretty. There you go. Okay, why don't we get started this on this public hearing? We'll call this meeting to order. As we have for so many months now, the latest executive order authorizes us to do this by Zoom, and that's Executive Order 202.72. This public hearing is concerning a request by McDonald's for sign variances for new construction out on East Main for a new McDonald's. And the variances are asking for a larger sign than is allowed by our code. It's not unusual that we get these requests. The point of this today, or at this time for the next 10 minutes, is to ask for comment from the public, if there is any, about this request for a variance. So you have all received, and if nobody's asking questions, I'll just go on and talk a little bit about it. There's three pieces to this request, and it was referred to us by our planning board, who can only approve things that meet the code. All requests for variances over and above What's allowed by code has to come to us for our approval. The first request is for a freestanding sign that would have 68 square feet of area at a height of 25 feet above the ground level. The second is to dealing with the wall signs on the building itself. And the third is the size of the arch on the building. Is there any comment from the public? Toby?
First, a question, how does it compare with other requests that are on that same strip of commercial area? You mentioned that you've gotten other requests, but the signs out there seem to be pretty tailored and
Well, I can answer that question. I don't want to take it away from the code enforcement officer, but the sign right next door at the Mountain Mart had a variance requested for it that was for 74 and a half square feet. And this is only 68 square feet. I went out and measured that sign, and I think Jeff did too. I came up with about 21 feet off the ground. So it's somewhere in that 21 foot range in height. McDonald's request for that sign is 68 square. Then if you look at other signs in the area, they vary. Some have decided to meet the standard in our code that there's about 12 feet off the ground and haven't asked for variances. You go across the street to the hotel, which is probably a grandfathered sign, but it's probably 40 feet in the air. If you use 10 feet per story, and it extends well above the third story and the roof. So that is a massive sign. So that's how it compares. There's been other requests for variances for different signs, both on buildings and freestanding. So this one compares very similarly to the sign request that Mountain Mart had. And actually, if you measured it today, their sign is 78.9 square feet, not including the support that holds it up.
it just seemed to me that the several requests all were in excess of the code and very numerous. I mean, is anybody really going to miss the arches and not know that it's McDonald's?
Well, the first thing that's going on, and I've been driving around looking at this stuff, the massive golden arches that are normally on their signs, like the one in Potsdam, it's not going to be there. Their sign has become much more subdued, and they've added the arches on the building itself, which are a lot smaller than anything I've seen, especially in Potsdam. I just use that as a comparator. They have that huge golden arch sign that's out in the front of their store in Potsdam, and this sign doesn't include any of that. So it's actually a smaller in square footage than what's right next door to it.
I'm sorry, Mike, you said it's smaller than what? It's got scrambled
The
there.
sign requested is smaller than the one that will be right next door to it at the Mountain Mart. By about 10 square feet, it looks like.
Well, I guess my comment would be that I think the code is in place, and if we have a code, we should try to adhere to it. And that stretch of road is not out of control with signs at this point, but every additional variant makes it so. So I would encourage holding back on some portion of that.
Is there any other comment? Public comment? Tim?
Yeah, I'll chime in with some history here, speaking as former chair of the planning board, and those of you that have been around this for a while will know that these sign variances are a prime track from the Greatest Hits album that keeps going up there. There's that part of the village is very unique compared to the rest in that the speed limit has increased by the time you get out there to 40 miles per hour, and buildings all tend to be further back from the road. And so what seems appropriate as a sign in a C2 district more in the closer to the center of the village doesn't necessarily match up with out there. So, these variances have been coming for a long time. As the mayor said, this request is not inconsistent with what has been granted out there. I have no comments in regard to the McDonald situation specifically, but as in the process of doing this code review, this certainly seems like something that should be addressed to do that. And I don't know if that's making, we haven't in the past wanted to go to the step of calling that stretch a unique and distinct zone. You don't want to create a new zone out there, but it does have some unique characteristics in which the one size fits all sign code doesn't necessarily work the same out there it does in other places, even specific to that C2 zone. So it should definitely be looked at as part of the code review, because the number of times that these things go to the village board is more than it should be, clearly. But I think that's revealed something in the code that doesn't seem to work right.
And in fact, it is being reviewed as part of the code review for sure, as is the sign variances coming to the board.
Jim, thank you for that. I will just echo what Carol said, because that has been a discussion amongst board members. And,
Right.
As we move in through this whole process of the code.
Yeah, and we talked about changing it a while ago, even before going to this step you're at now of doing a whole code review. I was always in favor of erring on the side of having a restrictive baseline for the code and making these exceptions where applicable. Again, looking at that outer part of East Main Street once the speed limit is increased is a little bit of a different animal than the village
Right,
proper.
it's certainly different than downtown in our historical district. So, thank you. Is there any other comment for this public hearing?
Well, again, to make just one more comment, the considerable effort I seem to remember was made at the Stiles Avenue area when the Sunoco and now 7-Eleven went in there. Is that because that's a transition into the residential area? But that's such an example of a tailored approach as opposed to a large exemption. And I seem to remember a lot of negotiation to make that happen.
Well, I can't comment on that. I do know that sign is in excess of what code calls for, and they would have had to have gotten a variance for that also. I did not measure that sign, but I suspect that it's probably larger than what McDonald's is asking for.
Thank you.
Thanks, Toby. Okay, if there's no further comment, we will move into the regular portion of our meeting. We'll close the public hearing. I thank you. Okay. First, there's a couple of things that need to change on our agenda. First of all, there will be no November 9th minutes. They haven't been completed yet. We will add a K item to new business, and that will be an MOU for the Canton Island Park. And L is a resolution for, let me see here. Well, it's a resolution dealing with a county contract for a DANK survey for areas that are underserved by broadband. I think that's correct, Carol?
Yep.
Okay. So with that taken care of, we'll move into, I need someone to make a motion to approve the minutes of October 19th.
So moved.
Carol, a second?
Second.
Well, that was a tie. How about Anna?
Perfect.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Okay, thank you. Department head reports is next. Let me just get organized here. Let's see. Is our historian here? She's on top. Linda? Maybe not. There's two Lindas here.
Mike, can I just interrupt for 1 second?
Yes.
Welcome to the person who's at the phone number 518-846 18345. Can you let us know who you are so we can put your name up here? If you push *6, you can unmute.
Maybe not.
Hmm.
Okay. Linda, are you still there? Are you there? Well,
Hi. I don't see an audio with one of the Lindas, so I'm wondering if there might not just be a techno,
maybe a different Linda. So,
a different issue.
well, you received the historian's report. If Linda joins us, we will ask her if she has anything to add. Lee, yep, you're here. Director of Economic Development. Anything to add to your report, Lee?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I know that we have, the Chamber of Commerce has received the Shop Small swag and things and have started to distribute that. So we'll be working with them on that campaign here on out. So that's exciting. But other than that, I think it's pretty up to date.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Lee from the board?
I guess, Mike, I would say that as it pertains to the water project, we were able to get an extension from Empire State Development. We have 3 grants for the water extension to the Maple Hill subdivision that's in process right now. And we were able, the Empire State Development grant for $235,000 was due to expire at the end of the year. And we were able to get another extension through July of 2021. So that's good news. And we have relayed that to the contractor. So that's very positive thing. So that's exciting. There's one more thing I was going to say too, but don't recall what it is. So that's good.
We have told the contractor that that expires a little bit earlier than the end of July.
Well, we need all of the paperwork and reimbursement requests to be filed by that date.
Right.
So the work needs to be completed prior to when our deadline is. So we did give them a little bit earlier date for completion of the actual work on the project.
And Marty may want to expand on this in his report too. This has been ongoing and we're very close to having water to where it needs to be. Pretty exciting stuff. Any other questions for Lee? Okay, we'll move on. I had the police report next. Unfortunately, Jim texted me and said he had to take his daughter to urgent care and he didn't think he'd be back in time. So he's had a couple of health problems with his mother and now his daughter. So unfortunately, he isn't here. His report is here. If you have any questions for him, feel free to email him and let him know what he has to report. Looks like Linda has joined us. I already went past your report, Linda. Do you have anything that you'd like to add to your report?
Not really. Does anyone have any questions for me? It was a busy month.
No, good stuff, Linda.
Yeah, it was good. And my blog page is started. I'm just getting used to it. So it will be under opinions on North Country now. So the historian from Lisbon and Ogdensburg helped me get it going. So it's going to be enjoyable to start writing again. That's
Okay.
it. Okay. I had trouble getting on. So now I had two Lindas on there. I don't know what I was doing.
That's okay.
Okay.
We got
Bye.
you.
I'm staying. Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Animal control, James isn't here, but looks like he had a couple of dogs that he was able to locate owners for, so. Let's see, code enforcement. There you are, Jeff. Anything to talk to us about? We can't hear you. Jeff, we can't hear you.
But he's unmuted. He must gotta turn his
You're unmuted.
volume up.
You're unmuted.
Got any volume there, Jeff?
Can't hear you.
You want to make a sign and hold it up?
So you got anything to add? Just shake your head yes or no.
Good thing.
Okay, looks like things are moving along on several fronts, so. Let's see, the assessor. Cindy, you out there?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi.
Hi. Hi, good evening. Okay, well, yeah, it's been a lot going on. The town at our data collector from the county is back with us, yay. He asked me to pull out a bunch of property record cards, and she's going to be going back out in the field next week. So I'm excited about that. And we got a letter from the executive director of the New York State Assessors Association, and we're writing out to Governor Cuomo to have the senior aged exemptions not to have to fill out their application, to renew their application this year. They want to let it go for a year because of the COVID. We're looking at safety, and we feel that the seniors and the disabled should not have to come in and reapply for their exemption. And we're waiting to hear from Governor Cuomo on that. So that's about it.
Cindy, what's the age for a senior exemption?
That's the additional exemption. They get the enhanced exemption, and then there's an additional exemption because of their income is their low income. So that's what that's
What's the
for.
age for it?
I'm sorry, what?
What's the age for the senior exemption?
He's asking for a friend.
Oh, okay.
Thanks, Carol. You're a funny lady. Yeah, how old do you have to be to get that?
I'm 65, but it's based on, it's their income. Remember we changed, Gerald, remember we did the, we adjusted the income for the
Right.
low income seniors?
That's right.
That's what we're talking about.
Okay,
Okay.
sounds good.
So it's different for each one because it's based on their income.
Okay.
So each one gets a different amount. It's not a set amount for each. It's different for each one.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Cindy? Okay, Marty, it looks like you're next on my pile of paper.
Okay, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. There is a few things I want to add to my report, and then there's a few things that I need to discuss with you that's in the report. One of the things I wanted to add was, I think it was part of the NYMER inspection, and there's been a discussion about adding master switches to the trucks and equipment at DPW. Right now, we have about 8 to 10 rigs that don't have them installed on there. They're pretty complicated to do in-house, just because you're dealing with computer units that are in these vehicles. So I was able to go out to a couple of different agencies in the village and town of Canton and get some prices. And between the two places, it was between $200 to $400 per rig. And the discrepancy in prices depending on how much cable you would have to adhere to the truck to get to the battery box. So I was probably looking at trying to get the ones that were going to be definitely inside for the winter, using for plowing. And if we could get like, a couple a month or just start pecking away at them, I think it's in our best interest to get that done. So what it does is it helps alleviate fire hazards. As you start looking around at a lot of other villages and town barns where they have fires, and most of them are caused because of the equipment that's in there. They don't have the disconnects. And so basically those vehicles are charged and fires happen. So.
So Marty, so is a master switch, does that mean it automatically switches off once it's charged?
Well, what'll happen is when the operator goes to get in the truck, he'll open the door and there'll be a switch mounted on the floor. He'll turn that switch. That'll give you power to the vehicle. When you're done with that vehicle, you will turn the switch off.
It seems pretty rudimentary in some ways, but a certain amount of power has to go to the computers in the trucks. And I can speak for the fire department. Every truck down there has a master switch so that, you avoid problems with fires and things of that nature. That has been on our list from NYMER for a number of years. And the response back to NYMER has been that as we buy new trucks, we'll order them with masters. But, Marty has discovered that maybe the cost isn't as great as we thought. So I think there's money on the maintenance side of the budget that we can get this stuff going. I think it'll be a check mark off the list of things that we have to do, which isn't very long to begin with.
Well, I would just say that I'm in favor of getting our NYMER issues cleared up, but I also am in favor of anything that enhances the safety of our staff and our equipment. So yeah, go for it. Now, when we do buy a new vehicle, are we getting it with a master switch? Have we been doing that?
Yes. Moving forward, every vehicle that is purchased will have master switches on them. So.
Okay.
Do we have any with master switches on them at the moment?
Right now, we currently have the tandem that we just purchased has one, and I think there was 2 other trucks that has them. But everything else, no go.
Okay.
Which is kind of disappointing because the Western Star, which I think was just bought a few years ago, does not have one on it, which really kind of made me scratch my head. But
So just a quick question. In terms of prioritizing the vehicles that don't have them, do we go with the older vehicles first?
Well, basically, not all equipment will be inside.
Okay.
And so I would like to start installing the ones that will be used for snow and ice removal, the ones that are inside, the loaders in our mainline trucks. I think that's the direction where we need to start.
Perfect.
And like I said, it's with the computers that it's really touchy that you really have somebody that's qualified to install this, because if you don't do it right, you're going to have a big bill, with a computer system for that vehicle. So it's pretty important.
Yep. Let's get it done right. Thank you.
Yep. I'd say go for it. Definitely.
What else you got, Marty?
Okay. I want to discuss, what have I got here? Okay. The next thing was the fountain. I did not reach out to Reverend Mike, but I need to get on board with him because I think we need to get that fountain out of the park if they're still planning on sending it to Alabama in January. So that's kind of important because I don't want it to get snowed in or damaged out there laying on its side. So that's another thing on my list that we have to get done. And I'll let you know if anything changes on that. The last report I had, it was going to Alabama. Maybe they don't have the funds to do that now. I'm not sure, but I'll let you know on that. The next thing is I had in my report about the signage for the charging station. I put the one up, we got the one up on Hodgkin Street, right at the unit itself. The ones out on Main Street, I reached out to DOT and their first response was, no, there will be no signs on Main Street. So they gave me a contact. So I contacted the gentleman at DOT and he says, if we can submit a letter from the board, from with the mayor and probably the committee that was involved in getting this in there, stating to the fact that there will be no charge for this charging. It's not just for village and town people, it's for any citizen that goes through the village of Canton. If they want to stop and charge, they can charge and they will never be billed a penny. If we can submit a letter like that to the state DOT, they'll gladly come put signs up on Main Street. So just wanted to let you know on that. I don't know what your future plans were with it. If you were was it gonna be free, to the public, forever, or was it gonna change? So.
Yeah, we hadn't actually discussed whether it would be forever. We decided for the first year, but that could be a discussion. The other factor here is it's not absolutely crucial that there be a sign on Main Street. I mean, that the charging stations on the Google map, it's on Charge Hub, it's on Charge Point, it's on, and anybody driving an EV around has it on their map. So it's not absolutely necessary that there be one. I was kind of thinking it'd be nice if there's one, but it's not a necessity. We can discuss if people feel they want it. I could go either way. It's not crucial.
I would like to see the expense on the rapid charger before we make a final decision.
Sure.
I talked about the slow charger, probably being no charge for a long.
I'll talk to Charge Point, Mike, and I'll get a readout of the use of the of both of them, and I'll report that back, and then we'll know what. I suspect it's rather low at this point, but I'll find out from Charge Point.
I think part of the point of having them where we put them was to attract traffic into our, the downtown area. So before we make a commitment to putting signs up, let's see what the expense is. And, if it's certainly within our range of affordability, then, I think we can discuss that in those terms.
I think the point that Klaus makes is a good one, and that is that if you drive an EV, you know where the charging stations are. And I think I can sort of go both ways. One is that, in a way, it's nice not to junk up Main Street or any place with any more signs than we need. On the other hand, it's a nice signal to people that this is a community that is taking, environmental consciousness seriously and making these good choices. So, I guess we do a little bit of homework. I could probably argue both ways convincingly.
Yep.
Anna?
Yep. We'll find out. We'll find out how much the use is.
Anna?
Yeah, I see both of those points as well. So if if we were to say that, to sign this letter and say, at this point in time, we have no intention of charging anyone, and then in the future, we made a different decision, could we just have the sign removed?
Could we just what?
Have the
Take
sign
the sign
removed?
down.
Or just not?
Well, and that's what exactly right. I mean, so I don't think there's gonna be a police out there looking to see if there's a sign, but that's gonna be your decision, you know, that's, in good faith, you submit a letter to the DOT saying this is the way we're doing it right now. If it changes in the future, who knows if any of us will even be here, you know what I mean? So, I mean, it's
Marty or Klaus, do you know what the signs, like, have you seen like standard, is there a standard sign for that? What would a sign like that look like?
yes, it's actually, it'll look just like the one that we installed right at the charging station right now.
Okay.
There is
I'll
one
go
there.
look
It's
at
like, it's like a 2 foot by 2 foot blue background. It kind of, with the blue, it kind of stands out, it's a little different sign. Normally you see green or yellow, and this is a blue one with a charger. It looks like a gas pump on it, but it says EV on it, so.
It's in your email, Carol. I emailed a picture of the sign to all the board members about a week ago.
Before or just now? About a week ago, okay.
About a week ago, yeah.
And one other thing before I close on that, because I don't want to talk about that too much. Where they placed a transformer when they did that project, it's in a real bad location there. So, we're gonna have to take and work on some kind of shield to put up from the pedestal that they mounted the meters and the breaker box on. We gotta do something to protect that transformer, because that won't make it through the winter. I'm here to tell you. So we need to do something. You got a utility pole right there, and you have that sidewalk plow. When he goes down through there, all that snow is gonna pile up on top of that, and I just don't see it making it through the winter. So we have to come up with something there, just to give you a heads up on that.
Okay, thank you, Marty.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to cover?
Yep, I got a few things. So the water connection was completed. They were doing testing on it today, pressure test. Hopefully if everything holds good, I would say by the end of the week, I'm hoping they should be completed there. Line will be charged. Ones that were tied in across already, we should have water. They're just doing some site restoration by the end of the week, and we should be good there. So contractor's done a real good job there. That's remember them. They're good.
Should we get some press for that? Like a little ribbon cutting, or have somebody at the other side, a picture of them getting their water out of their tap or something? I mean, this is a big deal. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah. It has.
We need to get a statement from Community Bank or something, because they were the major driver of this and maintaining those jobs over there, and they've had such struggles with their water. We should work with them to do some sort of press statement.
Yeah. Okay.
That would be our intention.
Great.
Okay, and one last thing is kind of takes me to the rec department. As you know, the mainline Zamboni's been down. So we've got the backup. It's working. We keep ironing out some issues with it, but we haven't had to spend a lot of money on it. My hat goes off to the DPW crews. They've been really coming forward at trying to get these machines running and running the way they should be. We think we've narrowed down to some issues on the mainline Zamboni. We've made some calls to the company, and we're going to try a cheap route, just a couple little switches that are not that expensive. If they don't work, then we'll know it's the master, the batteries, which we all know how expensive they are. the Olympia, the one we're using now, like I said, we're doing some maintenance on it, which from what I understand, there was no maintenance on it for the last 2 years. So this is hard to just take a machine and put out there and start running when it hasn't been maintenance. So the guys have stepped up, doing a good job. Next thing is the full-time employees at the pavilion, Ken and Ryan. They've both been there over a year. I think one's 16 months, one 13, and they've approached about getting a pay raise. Obviously, without the two of them, we wouldn't have lice in there right now. I know they've stepped up, and my recommendation on a pay increase for them would be to follow like I guess a 2%. I think at this time, I think that's probably across the board. That's kind of the standard raise for most municipalities. So being non-contractual, I think that would be fair at this point in time if we could give them a 2% pay raise. So.
Thanks, Marty. The board, would you like to move forward on that? Marty's recommendation?
I do think that they have stepped up, and in absence of a director, they've worked hard. So I would support Marty's recommendation.
Is that a motion?
Sure, it can be a motion.
Okay, I would entertain a second to make this happen.
I'll second that.
Thanks, Klaus. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Very good. I don't know if you have anything else to add, Marty. I like some of the additional information we received about day-to-day operations from a couple of different people. I would call the board's attention to a problem here in the municipal building that's going to require some attention. One of the boilers is going to have a heat exchanger replaced under warranty. There's also an expense going to be involved in possibly a board or something. And Marty, I don't know if I'm off in the left field on this or not, but it's about a $1,300 expense that,
Yes.
we're moving forward on. We got to have heat in the building. So
Yeah.
call your attention to that.
And so moving forward on that, on those boilers, I think if you'll find out, I think you paid a little bit less money for those boiler systems, but you're actually paying for it in the maintenance. So, moving forward, it's that old adage, the cheapest is not always the best. And that's with anything. You don't know until you go that route, and then you start to see things like that come up. So it's too bad.
So we're moving forward on that because we want to be warm down here. Not freezing. Anything else for Marty? Okay. I take silence as no. And finally, our treasurer, Sally. Anything you want to add? You have to unmute yourself.
There, I got it. Really nothing to add. Just want to point out that I do have asked the mayor to put a resolution on the agenda adopting the new retention schedule for records management. We've been making a little bit of headway on our inventorying and disposing of records in our basement. That's going to be a long-term project, but it is moving forward.
Questions for Sally?
Yeah, I have a couple. Sally, I didn't understand that very first part of yours about the clearinghouse. What is that?
Well, we discussed it a couple of months ago. We're required.
Sorry.
No, that's all right. So anyone that has a CDL is required, we're required to register them with a clearinghouse. It's a federal clearinghouse. So they would have to be drug tested randomly. And anytime that there's a mark on their record, we would be notified of that.
I guess I remember that conversation. I just didn't know that's what this was called.
Yeah,
Got it.
so there was some additional new paperwork that each employee that has a CDL for the village had to sign a waiver and a consent form saying they're allowing us to drug test them. That was a little bit of a process back and forth, but that has been completed.
So quick question, just logistically, how does that all, like, who administers all of that? Do you do that?
We don't do that. It's through St. Lawrence County BOCES.
Right, okay,
Yes.
perfect. Thank you.
They make a random determination that somebody's going to be tested.
Mhm.
And, their supervisor, Marty,
Owen,
would get notified,
it's a dog.
that that somebody's up, it's their turn.
Sure.
So, he would tell them in the morning when they show up for work that, time to go.
Perfect. Okay, just curious. Thank you.
Sally, a couple more things. Definitely yes to the holiday cards.
I just thought that was nice. I just thought it
Sure,
was nice.
so fun. And we can get that on Facebook for sure.
Okay.
And I just think it's a nice idea. The other thing is the paperwork for the youth bureau that Megan's working on. Does she need help with that? Is there anything we can do to help her with that?
No, actually, we got it early this week and we had to have it completed by today.
Oh,
We have to give them hours, we have to give them paychecks, dates, hours that people work to substantiate the money that they give us.
is that for the senior fitness class?
No, this is through the youth bureau. So it'd be like
Oh,
Taylor
youth
Park.
bureau, duh.
It would be like Taylor Park hours. It would be services we provide to community youth.
Got it. Okay. So, well, it's nice to offer help when it's already done.
Yeah. Thank you.
Any other questions
Thank you.
for Sally? Okay, I need a motion to accept all the department head reports.
So
So
moved.
moved.
Okay, Carol and Klaus, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Very good. We'll move on to committee reports. Anybody want to step up? I know Klaus has something on community solar. You want to start there, Klaus?
Sure. Everybody probably got that in their email. Take a look at the information on community solar. There's some new statewide programs and benefits for getting involved in that now. And so it makes it something to think about for the village or possibly the town, but for our purposes, let's kick it around. And I'll be glad to collect comments on it. Louise Gava, who all of you know Louise, I think, she's happy to give us more information. She could do a Zoom with us at some point, or she'll be happy to email us information. But basically, she's working with this outfit, Jewel Community Energy. And so, yeah, just read it over and see what you think, and let's discuss it in the next weeks and see if we're interested.
Klaus, thank you. I didn't look at what you sent today, but I will. Is this similar to the community aggregated energy that we had looked at, that we were they kept telling us we were a
Yes.
little too far ahead of the curve at the time?
Yeah, yep, absolutely. It's very similar, but according to Louise, there's some new credits and benefits that make it more advantageous to do this now. And
Yeah.
so I thought it would be worth having the village take a look at it and see if we want to make it available to local residents.
There was certainly a lot of interest last time around among people like me who weren't able to have solar on their own houses, but wanted to take advantage of that.
Exactly, exactly.
So
I
thanks for
think-
pulling that together.
Yeah, I think it would be reasonable to make it available to local residents and let's see what interest there is and yeah, see what you think. Let me know
Mhm,
and we'll get more from Louise about it.
mhm.
Klaus had talked to me a little bit about Louise doing a presentation and kind of decided the best way to handle this was for Klaus to send out the information and then we need Louise to come and answer questions. That may be the best way to do it.
I agree with that.
So,
Yeah, I think it would take up too much time of a village meeting to do it at a, I think if we need to do a Zoom, we'll do a separate little meeting with Louise and not take up, a half hour or more of a village meeting.
okay. Thanks, Klaus. Is, any other committee reports that need to be covered at this
Yep,
point that's not on the agenda?
Yeah, I just have some for rec. Just wanted to update people that the pavilion is open, the ice is down, and things are going so far so good. We've got Canton Minor Hockey and the figure skating club in there, and we did recently open up to 1 spectator per child. So just wanted to let people know that. And the last meeting that we had, we announced that we were going to do a reimagining the Canton Rec advisory committee. And we've had some great success in terms of people responding to that. That is on our website and the nomination form closes on Friday, just to remind people. But we're looking forward to meeting as a rec committee early next week to take next steps. So that's what I have on my front.
Thank you, Beth. Anyone else? Anna?
Communication and technology, Sally, thank you for ordering the Owl Pro. So we are basically waiting for that so we can, nerd out and test it a little, see how it works.
Anything else that's not on the agenda? Okay. Communications and information. I had a letter that I forwarded to you, but it's covered later on in our agenda.
Mike,
Sorry?
I think here would just be a good time to mention that we changed our meeting night to Wednesday night so that our legislator could attend our meetings. And so I would like to, and I would be happy to help with this, be sure he knows that when the standing meeting date is and that he's invited. And I would like to have that, I would like to propose that we add that as an item on our agenda, update from our legislator, so that it's there and he knows that we would appreciate a visit if he's got anything to say.
We can do that. It was my intention that as we moved into our annual organizing meeting, that would become a set schedule, a set
Great.
date. We'll talk about that a little later in the agenda, but there'll certainly be a place for that in our agenda on a regular basis or on a monthly basis. Anything else? Okay, old business. We kept the Executive Order 203 on the agenda as an update. Anna or Beth, do you want to have anything to say about that at this point? No, there's been meetings and discussions and
Yep.
anything else to add at this point, Beth?
There isn't anything that's new news. We do have our next meeting December 2nd.
I just want to make sure I have that down.
Oh, we'll let you know.
Oh, I'm sure you will. The next item on the agenda is the Chamber of Commerce contract. We tabled any decision on the chamber until this month. We still have in our budget the ability to pay, or the funding to pay this year for the chamber. We did receive a letter from Carol, and I know there's been ongoing conversations. And
Carol Spadassini.
yeah, Carol Spadassini, I'm sorry. And then from, you did get a copy from Carol Pinchon of the agreement from back in 2019. So you get a taste for basically what was signed back in 2019. That has normally just been a payment made. There's been discussion about it. What's the board want to do?
Yeah.
You've asked for information from them. The town's in the middle of discussions with them too.
If I might, Mike.
Yes, Anna.
Yeah, so everyone received that, the letter, which spoke, basically requested the funds and noted that they are many months into their fiscal year and that they had in fact budgeted with our money in mind. I think I would like to say that really we're many fewer months into our fiscal year than they are. And so I think there's a mismatch in terms of timing there. I think where I'm at with it is this. We have been having ongoing discussions in order to try to understand how their their current efforts and their planned efforts benefit the businesses in our community, so that we can see what value the taxpayers are getting for the money that we provide. And I would say that those conversations have not been altogether satisfactory. Yet where I'm at is the fact that I think we should have had those conversations during budgeting time and not after the fact. And as you say, that money is in the budget. I believe that, as a sign of our desire to work with the Canton Chamber for the benefit of our community, certainly our desire to not limit anything that they could do, especially in this time in our community for our businesses, that I would like to go ahead and see us pay the money. But the caveat to that is that we need to have a contract in place before our next budget is adopted. So that, because as you saw, we don't have a contract for this year. We don't have any method of accountability. I don't really have anything on which I can, speak to people and say, this is where your money, this is how your money is getting spent. This is where it's going. This is the value that you are getting. And I would like to be able to do that in the future. So where I don't feel that we can, I don't feel that it's right to, sort of, I feel like it would be going back on backwards to deny it at this point. But I want to be really upfront that I have concerns that I will want to see addressed prior to including them in any future.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Anna. And I think the bottom line is what we all really want is to have a robust Chamber of Commerce that is supporting our local businesses, which need it, especially now as much or more than ever. But I think the term you used was mismatch, a mismatch of the timing of their budgets, but also it's a real, there's a real breakdown in expectations, I think. Carol's letter to us said that they felt that they were doing what their bylaws indicated that they would be doing. But their bylaws really don't have anything to do with our contract or our agreement with them and what we expect them to be doing. So I think that we need a lot of clarity on what we expect or the public expects for our $6,500 investment, and to narrow this gap in our expectations. They think they're doing, according to the letter from Carol, and according to, I attended the town board meeting where Cindy came, they think they're doing what's expected of them. And we don't think they're doing what we expect them to do. And I think, to what Anna said, I think that's sort of on us for not having been clear about, that we'll give you $6,500 or the tech, we'll invest $6,500 of taxpayer money in you. But these are the things we expect from a Chamber of Commerce. So while, I'm a little ambivalent, I guess I could be on board with Anna, mostly because I do want to make this work. I want to be able to have a good relationship with them. I want to be able to work positively and move forward. And so I think that if we can, go ahead and support them for this last really dicey year, they're at the end of their year, in fact, even though we're only halfway through ours, they're at the end of their year. Go ahead and pay for this year's, but say very clearly, before you do a budget for 2021, which they must be working on now, we need a clear understanding of what our expectations are and your expectations are, and therefore what's a reasonable amount for us to be able to invest in that or pay toward that. And I think that a piece of that needs to be some consistent and regular and complete reporting. One of the things is we give them $6,500 every year and poof, that's the end. We give it to them. And, we asked to be on a search committee for when they replaced the director a couple ago and were declined. And we don't hear anything. We don't get reports, anything. So I think that, for $6,500 a year for, a pretty healthy portion of their budget, I think that some regular reporting, maybe Tammy can come to these meetings and report or provide a written report, something. I know she's been invited to participate in the Economic Development Steering Committee meetings, but we haven't seen her yet. That would be another good way to have interaction so we know what they're doing. So sorry, that was a bit of a tirade, but I appreciate Anna's inclination to sort of support them so that we can move this forward.
Any other
Sounds
comments?
reasonable.
Klaus? Okay.
I would say let's pay them and give them a 1-star review.
Okay.
But I think somehow, I don't know how it happens, Mike, whether it's in making the payment, they need to understand that there's pretty high expectations now. And we want to sit down at a table with them or sit down at a Zoom screen, whatever, and iron this out.
I think that as we move into budget season, that will be part of the process.
Right, but Mike, they need their budget for January 1.
Yeah,
So we don't want them to put us in.
well, yeah, but that's the way we operate.
That's their
our-
problem, but.
We're based on our budget, that's the discussion we're gonna have. They need to be careful about what they're planning on. So we will have the conversation with them if it includes a letter that, of your expectations as a board, that goes along with this payment, we can do that too. Yeah, Beth, you had something?
Yeah, I support the direction that we're headed in terms of paying them and clarifying and having better communication with them. And I would just be curious in terms of, because there's a mismatch, I'd be curious as to, when that can happen. And I'm guessing the Economic Development Steering Committee would be putting that together, or Carol and Anna putting the expectations together. Like,
And not this, I don't think the steering committee, I think that needs to come from us,
the two of us. Okay. The two of you. Okay. All right.
the ED committee.
Okay. So we'll move forward with paying this. This doesn't require a motion. It's already budgeted for, so.
Thank you for the work on it.
And if you feel like, Mike, you want that to go out with some sort of a letter, I think Anna and I could help with that.
Yeah, I think that would be appropriate
Okay,
based on their conversation that we're having.
yeah.
And I do support that. So. Okay. The next item on the agenda is the St. Lawrence County State Snow and Ice Contract. I sent that out earlier in the month. We finally received that. It's pretty much a standard contract. It's with the only exception is it's not an annual contract now. It looks like it's a 5-year deal. So with your approval, I will sign the contract. and get that over to the county.
I'm good.
So moved, yeah, for sure.
Okay. Anna's
We-
a second. All in favor?
Let's
Fine.
Okay.
keep our roads clear.
Well, it's what we do every year, and it took some time because of, they wanted to change the timing on this. Okay, next item, new business. Need a motion to authorize payment of vouchers and transfer of funds.
So moved.
Second,
Beth, a second?
Anna, second.
Anna, okay. All in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Very good. Next item is to approve a new fire department member. Melissa Shenko, did I do that right?
Sure.
Need a motion?
So moved.
A second?
Second,
Second,
Anna, all in favor?
aye.
aye.
Any opposed? Okay, next item is the discuss approval of the sign variance for the new McDonald's. We only had 2 comments about this. What's your pleasure, board?
My pleasure is to get it so that the planning board handles all the sign stuff and we don't have to do that anymore.
Well, I can agree with that, and I think that we have the opportunity as we go through our code review to get that accomplished. However,
Yeah,
um,
for now.
McDonald's has an application for variance in front of us. You know, I've gone out, spent a lot of time running around out there, looking at things, measuring, looking at other sites in our adjacent communities. I guess I'm pretty happy that what they're doing is much more low key than it used to be. There's not a huge sign out in front that they're asking for. It's actually smaller than the other surrounding signs. So I'm comfortable with approving the variance, you know, but I do need the board to make a motion to approve those and to vote on it.
I do appreciate the comments in the public hearing and to give it a little bit of context in terms of the surrounding area and different signs that have had variances approved. You know, I will also note that McDonald's new theme is much more sophisticated and a little bit more muted than in the past, and I'm comfortable with moving forward with this.
Yeah, I agree with Carol that we need to look at this in the coding update. But for now, I'd say I'd go along with approving the variance.
Okay. Any other further comment from our board before I ask for a motion? So I need a motion to approve the variances.
So moved.
And Beth, a second. Klaus?
Yep.
Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion's approved. Variance is approved. Okay, next item on the agenda is to discuss a golf course lease. This kind of came up, I guess we thought it was going to come up in October, Carol and Beth.
Right, it came in late.
It tends to be an annual event for golf cart leases.
It
However,
does.
this one is to, I think, to end the current lease maybe a year early. Is that what I understand?
His goal is to end a year early because they've been having some trouble with some of the batteries and the ones that will time out at the end of this next year. And so Kevin's recommendation was to just go ahead and get the next to go a year earlier and replace the 15 for this year now. He's working with a new sales, a new supplier who he feels good about and feels like is also the old supplier suddenly was becoming less attentive than they had been. So it's a matter of really just, it's a routine lease. It's just that it's a year earlier. We have it's not a big, it doesn't change the budget number. It's just that, so that's it. I mean, I'm in favor of this. One thing I tried to get, we have a lease proposal and the note from Kevin, but I wasn't able to get a copy. He hasn't forwarded us a lease for us. So I guess what we would ask for is approval to the authorization to approve it once the lease has been looked at. I think every year, Jerry, it gets the same, it's essentially the same lease and looks it over and but if it's a new supplier, we may need to just have a better look at it.
So that'd be the golf committee's recommendation to move forward with this.
Yes.
Can I just ask a question? How can this be a year early and be in the budget? Did I misunderstand you?
We pay for it. We make the payments. And so it's just moving it up a year.
There's a payment
make sense?
built into the budget.
So we just pay for them. It's like having your car payment every year and you got a new one and the car payment just keeps up if you turn it in, it's like.
I see. Okay. All right. That makes sense.
That wasn't very well explained. I knew exactly what I meant though.
Well,
And so did we.
that's all that matters.
I'm glad you understood yourself.
When it comes to my math, I'm usually the only one who does.
Okay, this would require a motion, second, and a vote.
I'll make the motion that we authorize the leasing of the new lease proposal pending Jerry's review of the lease.
Would second that.
Beth is a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Very good.
So I'll just get my hands on that lease. Sally, you haven't seen that, have you? Yeah, I've asked him a couple times.
I think he went south on Monday, so we'll have to catch up with him.
Maybe he's en route. I don't know.
Yeah. I think I read that in an email.
Okay.
Okay, the next item is discuss streetlight conversion options. This is not a simple process. I sent to you proposals that come to us through NYPA, and you also have the National Grid piece. This kind of came about quickly because we had to make a decision. We were about to age out on the option we had, and what we did to extend it was tell National Grid that we wanted the paperwork and documentation to move forward with buyout of the streetlights that we currently have in our community. There's 366 that are provided by National Grid, and there's a bunch of them that we own already throughout the community. So what's going on here is that there's a big push to convert to LED lights throughout the state. The state has provided some funding to help enhance that. There's also, there's a couple options we have. We can ask National Grid to do it, and they have provided some information about the cost to do it. And there's also an associated incentive. And the difference between the incentive and the cost is about $3,000. The other option is to purchase those lights and have a contractor change all the lights over. And the streetlights then become village property, and it becomes our problem to take care of, either by our electrician or by a contract. I'm really opposed to having that put on a village electrician. I think that if you're going to purchase, that you need to engage a contractor to take care of maintenance and So what you have here are a side-by-side proposal that was submitted to you by the rep from NIPA that would explain the budgetary portion of that, and then cost is involved for purchase or simple conversion. I don't know the deadline at this point, how much more time we have to discuss this. We could probably get away with at least another month. I do know in the process of discussing this, I talked to Marty about it, and I believe maybe the town of Potsdam went through some of this and made some decisions. Marty, do you have any thoughts about this before the board gets to talk about this?
Yeah, and just to enlighten you on what the town of Potsdam, obviously, we didn't have the amount of lights that the village of Canton has. But at the end of the day, we felt it was in our best interest to put it in the hands of, National Grid, NIPA, and let them come in. It's turnkey, them take care of it, and we didn't have to worry about it. I think in the long run, I think that's, in my opinion, I think that's the best solution for the village moving forward. It just, just maintenance part, and every time there's, I mean, that's a lot of extra work on the village crews, when you have, lights go down and you have to put somebody up in a truck up in the danger zone, I call it. Because you never know what you're gonna encounter when you get up there. So I just think moving forward, I think if you could put it in National Grid's hands, to me that would be the best move. I feel.
Thanks, Marty. I share Marty's concerns. Certainly, putting anything on the village itself. NIPA piece would be a contract with NIPA and then a contractor that would maintain. Pretty straightforward if we have National Grid do it. Structure's there, and the changeover to LED save us money to begin with, and the burden's on someone we're familiar with. But that would be up to the board to decide, and you probably need a little more time to even look at the documents that were sent out.
The thing I think, I appreciate very much Marty's sort of experience and insight. To me, changing to LED has some to do with, saving money, which if we save some money, but then have to pay a contractor to take care of the maintenance, that's, a rub a little bit. But I think switching to LED is the right thing to do environmentally. It really reduces our environmental impact. I think we must do that. And I think we'll save enough money by switching to LED to make that the good environmental decision, also a good financial decision. I appreciate not putting the burden of this on our staff and or having to contract out with somebody. It's what Grid does. So I would be much more inclined I'd like to get them all switched over, and I'd like to have Grid do it. And it's not, to me, it's not even that much of a dollars and cents question.
Okay. Any other thoughts from the board?
Yep, I agree. It's a no-brainer. Let National Grid do it. My experience with them in installing the chargers and going through all that is they know what they're doing. They have the equipment. I'd go with them all the way.
Any other thoughts?
I appreciate Marty's input on this too, and I agree with Carol very much that the burden on our staff doesn't seem reasonable. So I would support going with National Grid as well.
Okay. Well, I will have more conversations with Grid and see what will be involved in a contract with them.
Can I just ask a question, Anna? I know you're newer to the LED light conversion thing. It's something that we've been talking about a little bit ad nauseum. Are there other questions that you have just about the whole The whole concept and the whole process.
Not the concept so much. I'm in full favor of the concept for environmental reasons. I mean, it's the right thing to do. But I guess I was trying to wade through all these documents, and this stuff is way outside my wheelhouse, so to speak. So it's a lot of, stuff I don't really understand. And I guess I'm just trying to figure out, I feel like the argument that you're making and that Marty has made as to why we should, do it this way seems perfectly right to me. But I guess I'm always wondering, what is the benefit of the other path? What are we giving up if we,
I think I think to answer your question, Anna, there's a potential for greater savings. Really, that's what you're up against. We have a bad storm that comes through and lines come down, and we've had it happen, not a lot, but and the burden on upkeep and repair falls on a contracting company instead of the electric. So it's you have to balance both. And I'd be happy to talk to you more about it. We can look at, we have some work to do no matter which direction we go. And we'll spend a little bit of time with you if you'd like to talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely like to understand it better. But I one thing that does sway me is, the savings down the road versus possible, expenses and especially if that would fall on our own staff in ways that I don't think would be.
It wouldn't be my recommendation that it would fall on our staff. Maybe the option where, another contractor would be involved. Just doesn't make any sense. I'm too familiar with what it takes to work in that area to put it on our people. I mean, I get up into that space, on a regular basis, and, not even all the way up. So there is a safety concern. Okay, what I'll do is I'll move forward and talk to Grid, and I'll spend a little time with Anna to make sure that she's comfortable, and we'll frame the decision based on timing, when I have to have a final decision to Grid or NIPA. Okay?
Yep.
Sounds good. Next item is records retention and disposition schedule resolution that was sent out to you by Sally. This is a requirement that we act on this, but by the end of the year, Sally?
Before January 1st, so by the end of the year. Yes.
Okay. There is a new standard for retention of records, and we have to adopt that schedule. There's not a lot of changes to the schedule, but what this does is combine a couple of different schedules into one.
Yeah.
Well,
I would like to make a motion that we resolve to switch records retention and disposition to AS1G or whatever it was.
LGS1.
I say yes to whatever Sally said.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Klaus. Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed. I will echo Sally's statement that there's a lot of work going on in hoeing out some old records. There's a lot in the cellar and in the safe downstairs that really it's time for them to go. And they're, the whole staff down in that office is working hard at getting rid of things.
It's bringing us joy.
Good.
Oh,
I saw
the
that
cellar.
shredding truck out there and people skipping out to the shredding truck.
So all is good when it comes to that.
Shredders are fun.
Okay, the next item on the agenda was just a reminder of our annual organizational meeting. That is coming up December, what is it, 7th? First Monday in
it's the-
December.
Okay.
What
Well-
time did we set for that, Sally? Was it like 6 o'clock or? Kara started to say something. I think she wants it early.
Yeah, we usually do it earlier. We usually do it at 4.
Okay,
4 works.
4 p.m. December 7th.
I'm sorry. I
Thanks for the reminder.
teach until 4:15. So could we do 4:30?
4:30?
We can change that to 4:30.
Thank you.
Let's let you teach.
I mean, it's my job.
Your students are important.
4:30, okay. We can do
That
that.
works.
We'll adjust. Okay, next item was planning board appointments. I had sent a name out to the board, see if anybody had any information about an individual that had been recommended by the planning board. Nobody mentioned anything to me, but at the same time, Klaus came back with another name. I believe that there's room for 2 people on that board. And I would like to talk to both of those individuals. One may end up being an alternate and one may be a regular member. I still have to talk to the recommended person that came out of the planning board. Klaus has sent around a little cover sheet about qualifications of the other person. Did anybody else have another name to give me? I'll have that wrapped up in time for our organizational meeting. That would be my plan.
Can
Well,
I-
I think that's great for you to do that. I'd be happy to help out with any of those interviews if you need it.
Okay.
Sorry, Anna.
No, that's fine. It would be helpful, and I did see the CV of the one individual. It would be helpful to have a little bit of I don't know, not necessarily a bio, but a little bit about why a person would want to serve and what they're bringing to the table. Otherwise, I feel like I'm just saying, oh, great, you want to serve? Great. What's the basis on which we're making a decision? I just would like a little more information about a person, I think.
Well, when and all I'll say is when I look around for members for a board like that, I try to look for balance. A lot of people come up and say they'd like to participate and get involved. And sometimes that's all they're interested in is, how things work. And we'll put something together for the individual that was recommended. But again, when I think about this, I look for balance. I look for, maybe it's a balance in terms of male versus female. Maybe it's a balance in terms of, somebody that works at St. Lawrence, somebody works at SUNY Canton, somebody, owns their own business. Maybe it's just a retired person. So we're looking, in my mind, I'm looking for several different walks of life, so to speak, and try to create a balance that way. I have to tell you, I never look at, who they are registered as or anything like that. I look at, try to get different representation within the community. So that's kind of my philosophy when I'm looking for somebody for those boards. If I don't have a name handy, then we ask, the board, do you have any suggestions? In this case, so we've come up with 2. So we will put something together.
Mike, who's going off?
John Hill.
Was John
John
Hill,
Hill's going,
is John Hill leaving? Okay.
and do we
I
lack
think
an
so.
alternate? Is that your point? Right now, there's
I
not
believe
an
we're
alternate?
lacking an alternate. So
Yep.
Klaus, have you been going to the meetings?
Not recently, Mike. I kind of mean to, but I haven't made it to one recently. Nope.
And again,
On a Zoom. I was actually on one Zoom meeting about 2 months ago.
the planning board and ZBA they're supposed to operate independently of us, being under they shouldn't be under our thumb, let's put it that way. They need to operate independently. They have a job to do and make recommendations.
Yep.
So if we attend, and you're certainly welcome to attend,
Mhm.
you're attending it really as a citizen,
Yeah.
not as a member of our board.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
That's always my thought.
It's interesting to go to sometimes, so.
Mhm.
And I would encourage you to sit in if you have the opportunity.
Mhm.
Get a sense of what goes on. So we'll get the names to you and we'll go from there. If there's any other names that you want considered, please give them to me.
Mhm.
Time is short now. At the same time, the next item was the housing board appointment. I think Carol was able to find a volunteer. Again, we go to the boards and sometimes you have someone in mind that showed an interest in serving. I'm not sure how Carol came up with the person that showed interest, but other than the fact that I think maybe she wanted something to do or wanted to get involved.
Well, she's a person who's expressed interest and has gotten involved in a few things that I've been working on. And so I went in to speak with Sally to learn a little more about it, since Sally serves on that board, and just gave Sally a sense of who this person was. And she thought it sounded like a good possibility. So I checked in, and the person is going to, is planning, I think, as far as I know, Sally, to go to a meeting just to sort of get the lay of the land, see what it's like. And then if she's still interested, then we can, and Sally can, I think that'll give Sally a chance to talk to her a little bit and tell her a little bit about what's involved. And then if she's interested and lets us know, then we can consider her.
Carol, just so you know, I did send her an invite because the meeting is tomorrow.
Great,
So I did send that to her.
super. Thank you, Sally.
I did, as you should have found in your email, send you a copy of an agenda, a copy of minutes that were produced at some point this year, and some general guidance on what that board does. So
Much appreciated.
you have a chance to read. Okay, the next item on our agenda is an update about a recreation audit. I think I informed you that we were notified by the comptroller's office that they intend to do, well, it started with an interview about accessibility to our building and records, with the current state of affairs with COVID. Their intention was that they were thinking about doing an audit of our recreation operation. It's a joint operation between the town and the village, as you know, and there's a separate accounting kept at that. So they came back and said they wanted to audit our recreation fund. That process began on Tuesday. Tuesday, Sally? Yes, Tuesday. No, when did we have our interview?
Yesterday.
Yesterday. Yeah, that was Tuesday.
Oh, yes. These board meetings are confusing me on days of the week.
So we wanted the board to know that audit has begun. It started with an interview of Sally and I, and then they carried on with Sally asking a lot of very specific questions. And then they followed it up with a list of things that they wanted initially from us. They really want to understand how the fund works, what kind of controls are in place. They're always interested in cash. And so there were a lot of questions concerning those type of things. Every one of these joint operations are a little bit different. And they really need to ask a lot of questions to understand how we operate, not just how other rec commissions operate in other communities. So this is moving forward. All your names and email addresses have been provided. The towns have also been provided. The comptroller's office may contact you via email. They will most certainly want to talk to the rec committee, and that will include Carol and Beth. And on the town side, they'll want to talk to them also. Again, they want to understand your relationship to the operation. And so there's just a lot of information that will be provided. And we'll provide everything happily. So Anna, you have a question?
I do. I guess I'm just wondering what kinds of things spark an audit. Is this routine? Is this, you know, what would spark an audit?
There's any number of things, you know, they may be looking for something to do and looking for small, you know, small operations to audit. I can't say right now exactly what it is. You'll have an opportunity to ask that question if you would like down the road. Sally,
Do they seem to be after anything in particular, or is it really, does it appear to be just a general? We did, by the way, the rec committee, Beth and I and Tim and Karen got a letter from the comptroller's office just today, just letting us know that it
Good.
was happening and what the process was and that we would be kept in the loop. It wasn't asking any questions yet.
When I provided that information to the auditor, you know, I gave both board makeups and who was on the committee and emails. I did not give out any phone numbers. If phone numbers are given out, that's on you. You know, there'll be opportunities for Zoom meetings, questions. There's a whole process involved. Sally, I don't know if you want to add to this, if I've covered it, you know, decently or not.
No, you covered it. It was 3 hours yesterday, just so you know. The first 2 hours, and that's really what happens is they, you know, do you have a separate banking account? Do you have accounting? Do you have receipts? Do you know, who takes cash? How do you handle cash? How do you handle billing? It's just to get their bearings on how we operate.
In the
And
end,
this all happened by Zoom this time, right?
Zoom yesterday, yep. And then in the afternoon, they asked about IT questions.
Like what? Like, do
Do
they
you
have
have
cell
an IT
service there?
policy?
Oh, in general. Mhm.
Yes. You know,
That's it. Nuts and bolts.
yeah.
they wanted to know if we had an agreement between the town and the village for the rec committee.
I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying anything.
We're working on it.
You know, listen, the only thing you can do is tell them the truth. And that's exactly what's, you know, tell them the way it is. Now,
I have a draft.
in
You do.
in the process, you know, they may come out with some recommendations and we deal with that too.
Great.
Sally, anything else you'd like to add?
No, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. We look forward to your participation.
Mike, I guess I would just like to say, since Tim's on the meeting, just if Tim has any questions, because he's on the rec committee.
No, I appreciate Sally's updates and all the work she's putting in, and
Did you get an
we'll see
email
where it goes.
today?
I did.
Okay. So, you know, they're moving forward and they're pretty efficient. So it is what it is. We'll update you
Okay.
as we move forward.
They're not always efficient.
Well,
It's November. We'll see.
We have on good information.
okay. Anything else on that subject?
Keep us posted.
Okay. Next item was the MOU for Canton Island Park. Thank you, Jerry, for giving that your attention today. The town is interested in getting that wrapped up so that they can sign the complete grant application. There may be some changes or corrections to that. I know Lee mentioned that there were a couple items that she had, and it was important that Lee was involved in the process here. I know this went out to you late for review, so any changes that need to be made, you know, I'm convinced that we can approve this with some changes that Jerry might need to make, and then we can move this forward. Lee, was there anything you wanted to add now? Do you want to add it to an email to Jerry later, or how do you want to handle this?
I apologize. I was a little distracted. Are you on the MOU?
Yes.
Yeah.
Was, did you have a
the-
couple of things that you wanted to add or change that weren't?
I do, yeah. I sent an email out right before the meeting. I apologize. I was off most of the day, but in general, it was written at the time that the application was being submitted a year and a half ago, basically. So I think the tense of it kind of needs to change, the title of it. We now have a contract. We have a contract number. So it shouldn't be referred to as an application any longer. It should be referred to as a contract. And that was one of my statements, both for the title and also in the body of the document. It talks about the town being the lead on an application.
Okay.
I think it should talk about how the town has received an award, and I included the contract number that should be included there. The only other thing, or the other major thing that I see, is that it appears to only indicate that the village will be administering the portion, the Willow Island portion of it. I believe that my office will be administering the entirety of the grant and monitoring expenses, et cetera, for the entirety of the grant, not just the Willow Island portion of it.
Okay.
So I think that should be revisited. I don't believe that there's any match for my hours or anything for the administration, but I think it should be clarified in the MOU that the understanding is that my office will be administering the entirety of the grant, not only the village's portion of it.
Lee, would that be, this is Carol, would that be, should that be part of this MOU, or should there be a separate MOU for the Minor Street part of the contract? I guess if it's all one contract, it could be all one MOU, huh?
Well,
I think it should be all one MOU. It's one contract.
Yeah.
And it's just the way that it's written here is that it appears that the administration, because the Office of Economic Development is administering the grant, which means we'll track the town's expenses and submit their reimbursement requests. We will track the village's expenses and submit their requests. If there were any portion of our, there are a number of volunteer hours that are part of this. We will track those and submit those. I just think it seemed to me as I read it that it appeared as though my office's involvement was only to do with the village, and I think that isn't accurate.
Right.
I don't think that was the intention. I think it's a shared position, so was no question that Lee would be administering and tracking the entirety of it. The main portion was the agreement between the town and the village for the village's piece and our commitment to standing behind that piece. With that being said, I don't think Jerry will have a problem modifying what he wrote in a very quick period of time to recognize what needs to be recognized.
Yeah, and I think this initially was proposed when the application was being written. So at the time it was accurate, but it never was executed at that time. So I think it just needs to be updated to reflect that there was an actual award given and, kind of make it more current to reflect the current situation.
With the suggested changes, I would ask that you would approve the MOU based on Jerry making the changes that he has suggested. That would be okay with the board.
Yeah,
And,
I will make that motion that we authorize the signing of the MOU or MOA as the case.
yeah,
may be.
either way.
for once the changes have been made. And I just do hope that, I know, Jerry, you've got a lot on your plate, but I think they're really eager to get this done. If we can just, any of us can help make some of those changes or anything, get this through.
No, I can get the draft for you tomorrow morning.
I'm
We-
happy to make some modifications and send it to Jerry if that will help.
Did you send your email to me, Lee?
I sent it to everyone who was on that list, so if
Okay,
you
so I
were,
must have it too then. Okay.
but I'm happy if you would like me to actually make updates to the document. If you want to send it to me in Word, I'm happy to do that and send it to you if that would be helpful.
Okay. Let me give you a call tomorrow morning, okay?
Sounds great. Thank you.
Good.
I need a second for that motion.
Second.
Klaus, is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Next item is the resolution urging St. Lawrence County Legislature to contract with DANK for a comprehensive broadband assessment. Been reading the papers, you know that they've been bouncing this around a little bit. In terms of the village, I think our coverage for broadband is pretty good, but we have heard and we know throughout the township there's problems, and I think that it makes sense that we recognize that and support that this type of review is done. We really do need to update and upgrade throughout our county broadband that's available for people. Carol put this together on very short notice, and I thank her for that. Talk about this a little bit, Carol?
Well, just a little bit. You all, this has been the issue of internet access, affordable and adequate internet access has been something that's been brought up to us numerous times, certainly in the years that I've been involved. And most recently since the pandemic started, and we had a young man talk to us at one of our board meetings. And so the request was made that the ED committee, the Economic Development Committee, take a look at this. And we did talk about it, and we all went out and did some homework and talked to elected officials. And really what they all said is it's a huge problem up here. It's not well, up until now, the assessments, the state thinks that we have 98% connectivity. That's largely based on census tract information. And if they get somebody in a census tract who says, yes, I have internet, then they just say, okay, they're good there. And what we know is that there are a lot of people who aren't. Toby has spoken to us very often and well about this issue where he lives, people who rely on this for their jobs, especially now people who are relying on it for work and for school and for, very importantly, telemedicine. And so DANK is working on this. They are working with, contracting with people to get surveys to really survey our communities around the county to find out where the gaps are, where the service is available. Lewis County and Jefferson County have both signed on this on the basis of sharing the cost with DANK. And St. Lawrence is pushing back and doesn't want to pay half. And I just think that this is an expense that they should absolutely step up to and share, because all of our citizens need this. All of our residents need this. And if you read through, I just think that it's a partnership that is essential and has the potential to bring enormous benefits to our county residents. So if you have any questions about the resolution, I did work a little bit with Jason Fotenhauer at the planning office, who's been working with the legislature on this, and with Lori Marr, who's the communications person at DANK, to be sure I had the accurate information. So we will pass this resolution, and I think it's important to since we have our Mondays free now, go to legislative meetings and speak up about this. And in particular, I will say, a reason that I would have liked Danny Fay to be here is he's one of the people who's speaking strenuously against sharing the cost of it on the basis that Dank has plenty of money. And I just think that all the counties are sharing. It's, we need to have some skin in the game for this too. And it's a county, I think it should fall to the county. They should do it.
Carol, thank you so much for all of that information and the work that you've done on it. I can't support this enough. Having been a guidance counselor in a small school district where students really had a lot of issues, and our more rural kids, they just do. And technology is not going away. It's increasing on all levels, and we need to see what we can do to help support people who don't have access. I think it's critical. So thank you. And I completely and totally support this.
Yep, same here, total support. Dank does a real good job and the county should go in on it with them, absolutely.
Okay, with that, Anna, you have something to say?
Oh, sure. I was just going to say, I mean, also, this is an economic development issue. If people can't come here and be able to work and go to school and take care of, life, they're not going to come here. So I mean, this should be a big priority for our county, and I'm grateful to Carol for doing the work of putting this together.
Yep, so win-win, absolutely.
And I guess I would also just add that I don't know what the mechanism is by which our legislator would be made aware of this resolution, but I hope that would be done.
Well, I believe
Tomorrow.
once it's passed, it'll be sent to them.
Well, I would be happy to also to deliver that if that would help, because Dan since he doesn't look at email, I think we need to be sure it, maybe, I don't know, Sally, can we send a copy to the legislative office and to his home office? Or his home?
We can make sure it gets there.
Can't we send it to the leadership? I mean,
And we should too, yeah.
assume that it would go to Lightfoot too, right?
Yeah, I think.
And company, yeah.
Both
I
of
would
them,
think so.
absolutely.
Okay, I need a motion to move this resolution.
So moved.
I think I did, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
Then
Second then.
Klaus is a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Is there anybody opposed? Okay. Next item is public comment. Is there any public comment? Eileen?
I'm very pleased to hear this discussion about the need for us to be assertive with our county legislators. There are two things on my agenda. The Dank issue is certainly one of them. As a member of the school board, we've been dealing with this all year, taking our school buses out so that kids can get high Wi-Fi. This is nuts. So I congratulate you, support you entirely in that. The county just plain needs to hear a lot more from us. The other hat that I wear is part of the advisory committee. And as much as we're working on it from our little piece of geography, we understand that we are a very odd little place. We have not only the Canton PD, but we have the state police barracks, we have the sheriff's office, and we have SUNY Canton that is a sworn police unit. We've had a couple of incidents that happened in the last month or two where it's really clear that the units are not in sync with each other. They often don't quite communicate with each other because they're on different frequencies, we've been told. But they also do not appreciate that when a sheriff's deputy or a state police officer interacts with village people, that our village people, if we get our act together and get them to the police and the community talking together, there's going to be a level of understanding about who we are and how our community needs to work. We need that to happen with the other units that do occasionally come into our purview. And so what I would appreciate it is any of you who have a little bit of extra time on a Monday in December 21st, the sheriff is having a public hearing that day. And I don't know exactly when, but he is having a public hearing. And I think it's really important for village people to be at that meeting. The sheriff does not only police outside of our limits. It does get involved from time to time within our limits. And we need to have that conversation. And right now, I don't see it happening. In fact, he's been pretty much told us that it doesn't, that everything's fine. So, if you have friends, ask them to come to the public hearing. If you have time that night, come to the public hearing. The more Danny Fay hears from us, the better. But all of them need to hear from us. And we'll all be the better for it.
Eileen, can I just get a clarification? So it's a public hearing of the state legislatures or the county legislatures public hearing with the sheriff?
It's the hearing on the plan that they're creating.
Oh, got it.
Basically,
Got it.
not
Okay.
really a plan. It's basically a list of things that they do, have done. Yeah, it's been a rather.
So is it before the regular meeting?
I don't know. All I know is it's on the 21st.
Monday. Okay, thank you.
That's not their regular meeting day. It might be the committee that controls the sheriff. I don't know if anybody controls the sheriff.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Eileen. Is there any other public comment? Okay, I need a motion to go into executive session. The item primarily is contract with labor contract.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed. Okay, let's see. Sally usually stays around and Jerry, so other than that, thank you, Kara. I don't know if you're gonna turn that over to somebody.
Yep, we're all set. Thanks, Kara.
Thank you, Marty.
Thanks, Marty.
Thanks, Marty.
Jeff.
Have a good night.
You too.
Thanks, Jeff.
Jeff.
Carol, should I do another person as well, just in case?
If you want to do Anna too, I think we'll be fine, but if you want to, sure.
Well, I gotta make somebody a host.
Oh, you can make me host or make her host and I'm co-host.
Okay, Anna, your host.
We
Code.
almost in-
Jeff, I think you're off the hook.
See you, Jeff.
Bye, Jeff.
All right. Goodbye.
Bye, Kara.
Bye, Kara.
Recording.
Woohoo, we're proving it.
Now I need a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So moved.
That was Klaus and Anna.
Some competition here.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Goodness, no.
Okay, well, thank you for today's meeting. We got a lot covered.
Yep.
Um,
Thank you all. And in less than 12 hours, Anna and I will be back at it with the Economic Development Steering Committee. Just saying.
Yeah, I have
Oh, good
I will
luck.
be making a trip to Boston tomorrow with COVID tests.
Oh,
Have a safe trip.
right.
Yep, well, thank you.
Really?
I'll tell you that hockey apparently is going to play tomorrow.
What hockey?
Or Friday at St. Lawrence. I was asked to work the game and I refused. Apparently I'm one of the only staff members that usually works hockey games that's allowed to work because I'm considered an employee, I guess.
Oh,
And I'm not going into a penalty box with hacking, coughing, spitting hockey players.
Yeah.
So
So, and just
maybe there.
something I forgot to mention because you said hockey. The governor has postponed high school sports and
Good.
athletics to January 4.
Yep.
I meant to say that in the regular meeting. I don't think it's that critical. But FYI, I didn't realize that St. Lawrence was going to do a game. Huh.
Well, as of this afternoon, they are. I think they're
Okay.
nuts.
If they can get somebody to do the penalty box.
Penalty box.
Not gonna work them.
Either way.
So have a nice evening.
Uh,
Talk to you
Bye.
soon. And I'll be talking to you.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Good night.